All right, everyone, what's going on? Episode 13 of the Sell That Saas Podcast. I am your host, Will Padilla, where we not only help you break into software sales, but we help you excel. We also talk about different areas in life, right? Such as fitness, family, faith, finances. And one thing that you guys may not know about me is I sell influencer marketing software. So yes, I'm in software sales, but day to day, I'm talking to the world's best brands and how to scale their influencer programs. So I'm entrenched in the influencer space, and I'm here with a good friend of mine and also an expert in the influencer marketing space, Scotty Sheller. He's also a Scottsdale native. Today, we're going to talk about all things influencer marketing, all things building brand. This is especially important if you're a company listening. How do you start an influencer program? How do you scale it? Scotty's going to help you today. Scotty, it's good to have you, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me. I mean, this is exciting. You said my name, and I'm ready to go, bro. We've been friends for a while now. I'm glad we got to sit down and actually kind of like hash this out.
That's right. That's right. So tell everyone what you're up to right now. For those of you who don't know, I connected with Scotty when we first were influencers at Cuts Clothing about 2 years ago. And since then, I've just been following your content, loving all the high quality work you do.
Appreciate it, man.
So what are you doing right now with content? And tell us about your business.
Yeah. So, I mean, content-wise is the whole world of influence is such a funny thing because I think there's such a gross name to influence in the world. And when you say you're an influencer, I don't think anybody should say they're an influencer, but you should have no problem saying you're an influencer no matter where you are in life. Because if you have influence over something, you're an influencer, you know? So it's like, I think that there's such a stigma around that word where it's like, no, you have influence no matter who you are, you know, just be an influence to somebody, be a positive influence or be a negative influence, you know, whatever you want to do.
Sure.
But everybody has influence in the world. So, you know, in the world of influence where I'm at right now is I'm just a content creator, you know, really at the end of the day. I love to just take an idea, take a message, take a brand and be able to relay that in a way that is A, easy to comprehend, B, is easy to scale, C, is getting the job done, and D, is just real and authentic to me. So like in my space, I just take my entire world and make content into it. So my entire background was in just kind of lifestyle, you know, when we were doing cuts together, lifestyle was the whole thing, you know, it was fashion. It was just being a good guy, just, you know, having fun and embracing life. And, you know, that's kind of where our content is, and that's where it was, and that's where it's going. And then it's just kind of, it's adapting more things. So my life, I love to cook, you know, I love cooking. That. And so it was like, okay, I'm just going to use this as a piece of my brand. You know, I'm just a guy who can cook, but I'm also a guy who knows style. I know fashion. I know life. I know all these different things. And I think that's one part that a lot of people get wrong. And I'm just kind of going off on a tangent right now. But a lot of people tend to think that, okay, I need to niche down or I need to pick one thing that I am.
That's what everyone in the software sales influencer space says. You have to drill down this niche.
You don't. And I think that's such a misconception. I do believe that you have to have a niche in a sense of being known for something, but I also think that you have to be your niche. You have to become a niche. It's not about finding your niche. It's just be the niche. So the one example I always use is think about Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Rogan doesn't have a niche. He can sit down and have a podcast with a guy who just did shrooms 10 minutes ago. He could also sit down with a politician. He could also sit down with an Elon Musk. He could sit down with anybody and have a conversation. So there's no niche. He is the niche. So if I went to you and I was like, hey, you know, describe to me somebody who loves fighting, who also loves aliens, who also loves the human body, who am I talking about?
Joe Rogan.
Of course. And so that's why he is the niche. And that's why he's the most successful at podcasting. And that's why his is the biggest one, is because he hits such a wide market of everybody. But no matter who you are, you could listen to him and get something out of it. Instead of him being so polarizing where he's like, if he sat down and he just had a podcast about aliens, you're missing an entire demographic. You know, you're missing the mark on so many things because everybody has so many different assets to their life that they can talk about, that they can create around, that they can attach to all of these different people.
Wow.
Why wouldn't you hit every mark? You know, like you're missing so many people, you know, like yourself, for instance, you're first of all, amazing runner, you know, secondly, you're amazing in software sales. Third, you're an amazing dresser. I mean, you've got style like dude, of course. Why would you stick in just software sales when you're missing like the mark of there's some kid out there trying to figure out his life who wants to figure out what to do with his life, but he likes fashion. But maybe he has never heard about software sales. So if you start talking fashion and then you get into later on, it's like, yeah, I do software sales. It's like, oh, well, maybe I can try software sales. You just attracted him through a different market, but now he's in your market, but now he's a client. So it's like you got to kind of keep yourself wide, but also narrow in a sense of who am I talking to here?
Sure.
You know?
This is so powerful for me listening just because I'm learning as things go. And I've been so drilled down in the software sales niche for so long, and it's worked out well, but
100%.
it's not that level that I think it could be.
Mhm.
And a lot of my friends are also software sales content creators,
Mhm.
and they say they have to kind of stay in this niche because that's what the algorithm wants.
Mhm.
But it sounds like it's not the case. It sounds like you can really expand and just create. The most fun creation of content I did was when the cuts thing
Mhm.
of how fun and creative I got to be with just showing people what I'm wearing in my day in the life of a software sales account executive.
Mhm.
That was one of the most fun things.
And you just said it because you just attached two different parts of your life into one. So without even thinking about it, you were already branching off and doing your niche. So you just said it. I like to dress like this. I'm going to be wearing it daily. I'm going to be like, I'm happy to talk about this. This is what I wear to stay comfortable in software sales. Nobody says I have to be wearing a dress shirt with like a sweater over the top of it. Like if I want to sit down and I want to wear a t-shirt, it's cool. Like I can show up as who I am, but now you're hitting a market of younger individuals who are looking for a career, but they also like fashion. Okay, you merge those two together. Now you've got guys who are asking questions. And if you have people asking questions, you have a business. Because at the end of the day, what's a business? A business is having a problem, finding the solution, taking the solution, and selling the solution.
Okay.
That's all a business is at its core. So what you're doing is you're taking something that interests you, which is fashion. Okay. You've got somebody who's looking at you going, okay, I don't know what to do with my life. But then they see you and they're like, oh, he's kind of in fashion. Let's hear what he has to say. And then that's the problem is they don't know what they're doing. Okay. Now what's the solution? Well, my name's Will. I dress like this, but I'm in software sales. I've never heard about software sales. Let me kind of figure that out. Then they're asking you a question. Well, how do I get into this? Okay, well, now you've got the problem. You have the solution. Sell the solution. That's it. And all of a sudden you've got a sale. You've got something that converts. So sales is really simple when you break it down. And making money is very simple when you break it down because it's the same process every single time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you, by the way. This is very insightful. So with your clients, you talk about having these, these different niches, these different things that pull people in. Now, how do they monetize that?
I mean, there's so many different ways to monetization. I think that's where a lot of people get stuck is they originally think about money. They originally think like, how am I going to make the money?
I think that's a lot of people think.
100%. And there's nothing wrong with that. And inherently, it's a good thought to have because we all need to make it. We all need to, money is a very, very important thing. But money doesn't come unless you solve a problem. Money doesn't come unless you help somebody. So instead of thinking, how am I going to make money? Think about the problem. What's the problem? Okay. It goes back to what I just said a second ago. Find the problem. Okay. Once you find the problem, find the solution. Once you have the solution, all you have to do is sell the solution. That's the first type of monetization. That's all it really is. So let's say somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I want to get a product out. Okay. What's our first step? Well, first of all, we have to find the problem that the product is solving. Okay. So find the problem. If we find the problem, awesome. What's the solution? Then we have to figure out how the product solves the solution. Cool. Now we know who we're targeting because these people have a specific problem that our product is solving. Now it's just, let's find a way to get it to them. Once you find the delivery method, you can run that through ads. You can do whatever you want to just to get in front of the person. If they're having a problem and they're having enough suffering, they're going to buy it.
Sure.
That's it, and that's with anything. So when it comes down to monetization, it's literally just solving problems, and it comes all the way back to using influencers and stuff like that. That piece of it is literally just the deliverable of, okay, we've got the product. We know who we're targeting. Now we just need somebody to tell somebody else about it. That's where the influencer comes in. And that's how influencers make their money. It's like, okay, you have the problem. Your problem is you have a product, but you can't talk about it. The solution is hiring somebody to talk about it who has an audience. Okay, there's the solution. I'm going to sell you the solution. If you pay me, I will promote your product. Now the influencer just made money. That's the monetization on that side of it. So it works the same across every market. People try to overcomplicate things. And when you hire a marketing company, a lot of times they're going to use these big words. They're going to use these big, like crazy terms and all these different things to like really like confuse you just so they can charge you more so they can give you the answer. end of the day, if you understand that all you have to do is find a problem, find the solution, sell the solution, you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very easy to go, I don't want to do this because it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, which it will. But once you get good at it and you start doing it over and over again, you really don't have to look for your next client. And it's in my world, I can explain it the easiest way, just using myself as an example. I started off in the influencing space,
Yeah.
and after a while of doing it and getting good at it, I don't go after anybody anymore. They come to me.
The brands.
Yeah.
You don't do any outbound?
I don't do any outbound.
Oh my
Nothing
goodness.
at all. And it got to the point where it's like, I had my managers, I had, everybody that was working for me, but it made no sense to keep them because they were coming to me, and so it was like, we didn't have to do any
You're
outbound.
like, why am I doing this?
I was like, why am I giving 20% of everything I make to this person just because they talk to them and they send emails back and forth, when I can go on my walks, go on my runs, do whatever I'm doing, go into the gym, standing on the treadmill. I can go back and forth with a brand, jump on a call with them, 20 minutes later, have the sale. And then it's just like, okay, what do you need? Create the content for them, or I go out and find the person who can create the content for them. Because you just have to make yourself like liquid, dude. Like if it's a problem and you can solve it, solve it. If it's a problem and you know who can solve it, be the guy who makes the connection to solve it. It's literally just finding your way. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is they just don't start. They have an idea. It's awesome. Ideas are great, but if you don't start them, there's nothing.
Sure.
I'm a big Christian. I truly believe in the Christianity.
You and I both.
Exactly. And so it's like, like a thought without, or what is it?
Love your posts.
I appreciate it, man. It's like a thought without works is dead.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, we all have thoughts all day. Just put it into action. You put it into action, something will come from it. Either A, it succeeds, B, it flops. If it flops, you understand why it flops. Just don't let it flop, and then take it, try it again with a different spin. Try it again. And then once in a while, it just hits the first time. But it's very seldom that it does that. And once you find like your kind of like groove, and you find, oh, like if I say it like this, if I pitch it like this, after a while, you kind of get that rhythm, and you're like, oh, all I have to do is say it like this. Oh, more people are buying if I talk like this. Oh, okay. Understanding, the power of reciprocity and giving more than you take. And then just like building up that kind of like building up your name in the business. It's almost like at this point, I don't even have to tell people, I don't have to convince anybody to work with me. It's like they know what they're getting because they've heard how I work. They understand what I do, and they've seen the numbers. And it's like, if you can get like a company to like share your numbers of what you've made them, it just sells. Like it's you don't have to do anything anymore.
So you talked about that faith.
Mm-hmm.
You're a Christian, as am I.
Yep.
Something that I'm so curious about, and I think a lot of audiences, I don't know if you saw the survey, but they surveyed Gen Z, and they said, if you could have a dream job, what would it be? And 70% responded they wanted to be an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
So you started there.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about stepping out in faith. That's stepping out in faith.
100%.
You didn't work a corporate job to have all these, hey, Scotty, you work at the world's, you didn't work at Ogilvy, one of the world's biggest marketing agencies where they gave you a big salary, benefits. You just did it yourself. Like, how was that process? Like, how was just going all in on yourself? Like, what was some of the challenges that you dealt with, and then where are you at now?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a fear, and I think that fear comes down to like one thing when you're like in the influencing space, is, especially for me, is it's the perfectionism. It has to look this way. It has to do that. But if you break down perfectionism in itself is just fear.
Sure.
That's all it is. And if you can break through it, it's very, very simple. And it's just like working a muscle. You do it over and over and over again. You just get good at it. And then you just have to do more of it to get bigger and better. So when I was starting, it was like, okay, who's doing it the best? And I'm a big believer in, if somebody's doing it, you can do it. And if somebody's doing it well, you can do it just as well, if not better. So I was just looking around to see who was absolutely crushing it in the space. When I first started, it was like Alex Costa was a massive male influencer. And I was like, okay, what does he do well that I can emulate? And it was like style. Okay, I can do style. He's got great hair. I have great hair. I can figure out a way to do it.
Sure.
What do I have to do there? Okay, well, I have great hair. There's there's people that have hair products that need content. If I reach out to all these guys and I make them content without asking to get paid, and I just make them free content,
whoa,
obviously there's a lot of value there because they don't have to dish out any money and they get content. Okay, so start doing that. Then it went on to cuts, where I was like, okay, I love the t-shirts. I'm wearing them already. what would happen if I just ordered a bunch of shirts, basically paid a videographer to come out and shoot a commercial for them, and then just send them the commercial?
Insane. You did that?
Yeah.
That's how you landed
That's
it?
how I landed it. And it was literally like, I did a Black Friday commercial for him. And then I sent it to him. I was like, hey, I just shot this. Hope you guys enjoy it. Didn't ask for anything, just sent it over. And a week later, it was like, okay, well, how do we get more of this? And I was like, oh, dude, well, I mean, like, let's talk. Got on the phone with the guys over there, Gabe. And it was, and it just built a relationship. At the end of the day, it was literally just give, and then little ask. Hey, like,
Wow.
I'd love to create more for you. I would love to have like the time to do it, but right now I kind of have to put my time up over here because that's how I'm making money. Oh, well, if that's all that's holding you back. How about we pay you and you just give us that time? Of course, I'm happy to do that. Land a contract. So it always starts with the giving. And I did that with every company I've worked with. I did that with Nike. I did that with Adidas. I did that with Gatorade. I did that with anybody that I've worked with. Always start with free content. Always. Now it's to the point where it's like I don't even have to do that anymore because I've built up a presence and I'm blessed enough to have done that enough that it just worked out. Does that work for everybody? I've seen it work for a ton of people, so I believe in it. But I think too many people these days, they want that immediate gratification. So it's like, I'm worth this, pay me this. And it's like, what makes you worth that? You have no track record of anything. So if I had to give any bit of advice to any influencers or any brands or anything like that, it's start with free content, start with free, and just give. And if you can find, and like you said, there's companies out there that are willing to hire you to do content. And if you can get paid to learn how to do content, like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you? And then build your skill up. Nobody says you have to be there long term. Take the money to learn for the next 4 years, live below your means, humble yourself a little bit, and then start branching out on your own. And then once you start branching out on your own, you don't have to jump ship like I did. I'm just one of the guys who I love risk. Like, I live on it.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, nothing's going on during COVID. I can do this. I'm just going to give it my all. And, 5 years from now, if I have to go back and get a corporate job, I'll go back and get a corporate job. And then
you were okay with that?
100%. If I need to, if everything fails and everything falls apart, I can go get a corporate job. I am very good at sales. If I need to, I can go become a salesman of something.
Sure.
If I need to. But I also just didn't give myself an out. I was like, I'm just going to give it my all until I cannot give it anymore. And first like 6 months, I made $0. Zero. And then I think I made like $300 from one contract. And I was like, okay, well, now I've got proof of pudding. I can make some money from this. And then it was like, okay, 300 turned into 1,000, 1,000 turned into 2,000, turned into 5,000, turned into 10,000. And then all of a sudden you start having it's not quick.
Now you're having big conversations.
Now you're having massive conversations where it's like, you're negotiating $50,000 a month. Where it's like, okay, that's cool. But then you take your skills and I think it's just about skill stacking at that point where it's like, now you're a teacher. It's like, I understand what works every single time. Like I understand how to take a piece of content, get it to convert for you. Like that. I understand the market. I understand what to do. And so there's so many people who don't understand that. So they're willing to pay you it's like, why would you buy a book? You buy a book to learn all the lessons that the person learned.
Sure.
So you don't have to learn the lessons. If I can take you from A to Z without you having to go through all the gaps over 5 years, what's that worth to you? And a lot of times it's a lot of money, and not to say that the money is like the thing that should drive you, but it's really cool. It's a cool perk and it makes you feel very, very good. And I think that's the biggest part of it is it enforces the fact that you're worth something.
Yes.
I'm so sick of people like complaining about money and complaining about not having money and complaining money's the root of all evil and money's like the death of you and all this stuff. It's like, no, like the more money you make, that means the more value you're bringing, like that's it. And so when people go like, well, I don't think you're really worth doing that. I'm like, well, that's you talking at me. I know what I'm worth. I know what people are paying.
Dude, I have this conversation with some software companies where I say, this is what I charge. Mm-hmm. And they say, no, we're not going to pay that. We have this budgeted. Okay, go work with someone else. This is what 100%. I charge for. Well, why do you charge so much if X, Y, and Z influencer charges this? I'm not sure why he charges that low, but this is what I charge based on my track record of who I've worked with, the numbers I've been able to provide. Mm-hmm. There's a huge gap right now in B2B influencer marketing. Mm-hmm. You absolutely crush it with all these D2C brands, Manscaped, Cuts, Build.
Thank you.
North Star Bison.
North Star Bison.
I know all these things because I follow your Instagram stories. Mm-hmm. Like these brands, you didn't even have to tell me that. I
Mhm.
didn't even do like, pre-research on Scotty, but because I've been following you for these years, I noticed you're very consistent. Oh, if this brand, this is what Scotty says. Dude, I'm literally going to order the oil
Mhm.
for the board
Yeah.
that you did
Mhm.
because I have a board and it's kind of dry like sandpaper.
Yep.
You identified a problem. Well, actually, you didn't even really say, oh, hey, if your board is sandpaper, you're going to need this.
Mhm.
But you identified the person who just gets the board like me.
Mhm.
Then immediate impression is, oh, I remember Scotty saying there's oil that can make the board look really smooth and kind of get this sandpaper feel away.
Mhm.
Now I go back to your video to solve that problem.
Exactly. And it's also, I think when you're hiring an influencer or you're hiring a content creator for yourself, you have to look at the person as, okay, are they just going to pitch something or are they going to make it a part of their life? Where it's like, I don't work with brands that I don't vibe with, that I'm not
Facts.
going to be like actually wearing and promoting. And also, I think another big one is it's brands that I don't see value in,
Sure.
So it's like, I'm not going to work with a brand who comes to me and goes, hey, we've got this budget, but we're Hawaiian shirts. I don't wear Hawaiian shirts. And I don't see a really big problem that you're solving with your Hawaiian shirts. It seems like you're just a drop shipper who's trying to sell a bunch of Hawaiian shirts.
Facts.
There's value to it. Absolutely. You're going to have customers. I just don't see the value. So why would I promote that? And it's
people
being
think
honest.
less of you.
Exactly. It's just being honest. At the end of the day, I'm going to have people who hate on me and, they want to call me a sellout for whatever they want to. Call me a sellout. At the end of the day, I'm still going to be using the product. I don't care what you call me.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
You genuinely love the products.
100%.
You genuinely love Built.
I'm wearing it all right now.
Right. And then I see you use Manscaped.
All the time.
And
I hope you're not watching me use Manscaped. That's a...
No. YouTube video.
There we go. There we go.
Unboxing.
Right, no, I was wondering who was in the room next door.
The unboxing.
It's all good.
Don't sue me. The unboxing video I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So like all these things you genuinely like, I like to use this product. This product's good.
Yeah.
So there's a gap with software companies right now
Mm-hmm.
because they saw all the success all these D2C brands have
Mm-hmm.
with influencers. And they're saying, I have all my customer data of how much someone drives through Grin.
Yep.
And there's several brands that are in the millions and millions and millions of dollars. I won't name names, but that's insane. So these brands have cracked the code
Mhm.
on how to make so much money on influencer marketing. Now these software companies are saying, we want a piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing sounds like it applies. If they actually use your software, they find it valuable, you should partner with them.
100%.
If they have no idea what you guys do, nor do they really care about what you do as an influencer, you shouldn't take that partnership, correct?
100%. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't take the deal. Because it's like, because then you're going to be reading a script.
Dude,
which
I've
is
done
not
that before.
authentic, and it's okay.
I'm guilty.
It's okay. And it's one of those things that you don't understand it until you get into it.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're an actor and you're no longer being authentic. And then it comes across like, this guy is literally just trying to sell me something, and we all know it. We've seen it. But when you find something that actually you can use, like in myself, for instance, like in software, I love AI generation of scripting for things. I love it.
I use like ChatGPT
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And like, even just give ideas, like I go in there and if I'm having an off day where I can't think of a creative idea, I'm like, you're now a creative, I'll just type it in. I'm like, you're now a creative director for da-da-da-da-da. This brand does da-da-da-da-da. And they are looking for da-da-da-da-da. Give me 15 unique ideas that I can go off of. And it just lines them up. And then I find one, I'm like, oh, number 14. That one's kind of dope. And then I just build my script off of that. So it's like, as a software company, it's finding the creators who would use your software, finding the people who, and that's so easy to do because you just look at your people who buy the software. And then all you have to do is send out a mass like email, a mass Facebook post, a mass Instagram post or whatever and say, hey, we're looking for creators, or if you've used our stuff, we're just looking for testimonials. We're happy to give you this amount of money just to give us your honest testimonial.
Gosh.
For a software company, a testimonial is going to do more for you than any influencer marketing could ever do because people want to know that a software works. You find somebody that the software actually worked for, let them tell their story. There it is. It's over. Like, it's like, if they have solved a problem for somebody and that person can talk about the problem that was solved, they're going to hit a market of 500 to 1,000 people to 10,000 people, depending on how much their reach is. And it doesn't even matter about reach. If I'm talking to 10 people and 5 people have the problem that the company solved and I sell 5 products, it's a 50% conversion. You're doing pretty well with whatever you're selling, especially with software where it's like the overhead came from developing it. You know, you don't have like a physical product like that you're trying to like keep stock of. It's like, no, like your money went into the time. It's like you can get time back. You know,
super high margins in software.
Mhm.
And so people, dude, it's just like, this is really powerful because I'm talking to a lot of marketing directors and CMOs from big software companies who seem to have no idea what they're doing.
Mhm.
And some of them are on the play of, let's just find a bunch of people who love our software.
Mhm.
We're going to pay them this amount,
Mhm.
post whatever you want about it,
Mhm.
as long as it's positive, obviously.
Mhm.
Give them freedom. And I love that approach.
Mhm.
I'm actually willing to take way less money for that type of approach. I'm like, you guys give me freedom.
Yep.
There's no reviewal process. There's no, well, we trust you. You're a current user, so we actually just want your testimonials online.
Mhm.
And then there's the other camp who is doing this is a big thing in software right now, is like, you post great content, we're going to pay you somewhat fairly, but you need to say an exact script.
Yep.
And you're saying that doesn't work.
If let's talk to the brands for a second. If you're a brand hiring creators, you can give a framework. I'm completely okay with frameworks. You cannot be meticulous and you can't be a parent about it. You can't be that guy who's telling, or that company that's telling you, this is what you have to say. It has to be like this and it has to be like this. Here's generally what we're trying to get across. If you believe this is true, talk about it. If you don't believe it's true, leave it out. You know, and that's why I think that I've had so much success with companies like Built, like when I worked with Hilton, when I was doing like all these different things. It's like, I'll tell you what I like. There's never going to be a company that I work for where I love everything. And I will be dead honest with it. I'm like, listen, this is what I love about this company, but if you don't like this, it's probably not for you. You know, we do have things like, let's just use Built, for instance. Built is built for the athletic man and like a more athletic, skinnier
sure.
style. You know, that's it. I'm never going to go to the guy who's overweight and be like, dude, Built's for you. Like, no, if you're a bigger dude, don't buy it. Do not buy it. You are going to be so upset.
Yeah.
You know, and you are not going to be happy with it. And then all of a sudden you're going to get all of because as a brand, if you make people talk about a product that they do not genuinely believe in and you don't give them free will to talk about it, you're going to have everybody that they have watching them who is buying this product, who the product doesn't fit, is going to now complain. Now it looks bad on the person, which reflects onto the company, which reflects back to the person. And now they're not honest anymore. You just destroyed their personal brand as well as your own.
Mm.
You know, and so giving that creative freedom of, hey, if you like this, talk about what you like. If you don't like it, don't talk about it. And I've had more success telling people what I don't like about things. You know, where I'm like, listen, like this just doesn't work for me. Like, you know, for Manscaped, for instance, there's a couple of their products where I just don't like them. I will not use them. It doesn't work for me. Does it mean it's not going to work for somebody else? Absolutely. And I'll be like, hey, listen, like I'm not bald, so I don't need this.
Yeah.
You know, so me buying this in a pack, it doesn't make sense. Save your money. Don't buy the pack of things. Just buy the one product.
That builds trust, though.
100%. It's like I'm not going to make you waste your money because at the end of the day, you worked hard for that. You know, and also you're giving me your time and you're giving me that's like the most valuable thing that I could ask for is like, you're giving me your time and you're giving me your trust. If I break that, it's over. You know, like that hurts in a way that you're never going to be able to fix. So coming at it from a way of authenticity and coming at it from a way of this is exactly how it should be from my point of view, you're going to build that honesty, build that trust, you get the sales every single time.
Mm. How many brand partnerships do you feel like you can manage at once?
Do I feel like I can manage or do I like to manage? There's two different ones. There's two different camps.
Whatever you feel.
So I personally, at one given time when I was my most stressed and probably working more than a 9, because in content creation, you're always working more than a 9 to 5. I think when I was working my heaviest, which was 14 to 16 hours a day, just pumping out content, doing my own edits, doing all that stuff.
Jeez.
I was probably doing 50 brands.
Are you 50 brands?
50, a couple big ones and then a bunch of little micro ones.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I mean, it was just UGC content at that point. I mean,
so you were just cranking UGC.
I
You
would
didn't even have
literally-
to post it.
Yeah, just brands reach out and they're like, hey, you can talk
Oh
about this
my
product. Can you talk about it?
gosh.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And just knock them out throughout the day.
Dude.
And then you learn to delegate. You learn like you always want to keep things
Do you have
close
an
to home.
editor?
Yeah. I have 4 of them.
Full time?
Mhm.
Whoa.
Yep. And it's just you have to. And if you want to scale, that's what happens. You have to have people on your team. You
I
have to
know.
have people that are because once you build a team of people who are really good at what they do and they can mimic your style, you're going to win. And it's the fraction of what you pay them to see the result that you want is ridiculous. So going back to your question, I mean, I had 50 at one point, and then now I'd say I've got 6 big ones, and at any given time got 10 to 12 little micro ones floating around, just because I like to, have a little bit of time to myself and allow myself to actually have time to pick up bigger clients when they come in and actually have the bandwidth of, oh, this is actually a fun product. Oh, I could really see myself with this long term. Okay, I want to add you to my creation, because at that point where I was doing 50 different deals, I'd have some of my dream clients come along and I couldn't take them because I know I was going to drop the ball. And if I drop the ball, they never come back around. So I had to be like, hey, listen, unless and that's the kind of the cool part too, is unless the paycheck looks like this, I can't do it. And sometimes they're like, okay, well, there's the paycheck. And it's
and then you deviate.
Exactly. And then you deviate a little bit and you're like, okay, cool. So now I just have to micromanage my time a little bit over here and add them in. And, then you make it work because now you've added the income that you're going to lose from these littler deals. It's like, okay, cool. Now it makes sense. And it's managing and budgeting time at that point. So like I said, now it's slimmer, which is nice. And then like I said, it allows you to kind of branch off and do something different now. So I still do my content creation side of it, absolutely. But now I'm just consulting clients, where it's now I'm flying all around the United States, up into Canada, a couple in Mexico, just consulting companies on how to do this themselves. And now your brand just went through the roof because, now I'm getting seen by eyes that would have never seen me. Now you're talking at conferences and stuff like that, where you've got 50 brands in the audience who all want to work with you. And all you have to do now is just, oh, well, I know the creators. And now I'm helping the next up creator, where it's oh, well, I've got a brand who is trying to work with me. I can't do it. Let me pass it off to you. I know the guy. And so that's the next evolution of it, is, starting an agency of creators that I know, and the creators that are coming up that want that little pat on the back and say, hey, kid, here you go. This is what I did. And I can teach them and, ultimately bring the brand deals that I can't work with, bring them to them.
There's a lot of young people who want to do that.
100%.
And who could get guidance through that, because you have that credibility.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, I think even after this episode, when I put this out, there's going to be software companies that are going to be, directors should be messaging, hey, Scotty, I saw that episode, because people need help on this.
100%.
And they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
From an influencer's perspective and a brand's perspective, how do you get to that big deal? How do you get to that one where it's wow, this is the biggest deal of my life? And then the brand saying, we're making a big bet on this person because we believe in them. How do you get to that point?
It all starts with the free promotion. I think that's the biggest thing, is start low, start humble. No matter what size you are, start humble with somebody.
Really?
Start humble with somebody.
Even if you have a big following?
Start humble. Start humble. Because if you, let's put it this way. If a brand comes to you and they're like, hey, we'd love to work with you. What are your numbers? And you're charging some brands, let's say $10K a month. And this first brand, it's a fresh deal that's coming to you, and they're like, hey, we don't have that number, but we'd like to see an ROI and see what it can do. But that they have the budget behind the brand. You know it. You always know. And it's okay, I'm not going to charge you $10K, but I'm going to charge you $1,000 to do this for you. As long as we can have this conversation, whatever. And you have the confidence that your numbers are going to crush. If you take $1,000, not a $10,000, and you 10x, 20x, 30x that $1,000 for them, they're going to have no problem giving you your $10,000 on the next one, because you just showed that much of an ROI. If you can show an ROI with $1,000 and it's hey, man, it was great, but this is my price for the next one, and you really sent it for them and they made a lot of money off of you, they're going to have no problem paying you your $10,000. They won't. It's just, that's how it goes, because I saw the return. If you start high and let's say you start with, okay, well, I'm worth $15,000, and let's say the product doesn't work for you. Let's say you promote it on your channel, they paid you $15,000 and you only made them $5,000 back. Now you're in a negative ROI. Now your name is tarnished, because you might have a following, which doesn't really matter. I can talk for myself. I'm a micro influencer, and I still get crazy ROIs, bigger than some of the biggest in the brands.
That's so bizarre. Me too.
And that's how it is, because it's the authenticity piece. People can connect to you, and you're talking honestly. You're not like a giant. And I actually am thankful that my brand hasn't scaled to the point where it's I've got 250,000 people following me. I've got 1 million people following me. That comes in time, but
It will.
And it will, and I believe it will. But talking to some of the brands that I've worked with, some of the and through the brands that I've coached, some of their biggest sellers are the people who have 2,000, 3,000 followers, 5,000, 10,000 followers, like under that 100. And some of their worst are the 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers. It's just because, first of all, there's no, like, a lot of times it's, you lose the authenticity piece, but I'd also rather be the person who has 1,000 to 2,000 followers. And when I make a post, 500 of them go after it, as opposed to 100,000 people, you promote it and 20 go after it. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's what's the sale. And it happens. What's funny is it happens mostly in supplement brands. Most of the time is the people who have the biggest following produce the least.
Which supplement brand are you linked up with?
I mean, I've been with all of them. I mean, I've been with Transparent Labs. Yeah, I was with Transparent for a while. Yeah, and unfortunately, that one just kind of like it. It's not unfortunate. It just kind of comes to a point where you want to move on. And that was the biggest one for me is I didn't feel authentic with the brand anymore because my content shifted from being a, fitness guy and kind of like that athletic guy to more lifestyle, just kind of hanging out. I was doing very little fitness content. So it didn't match my audience. And so I was promoting it. And if you wanted good product, I 100% back Transparent Labs still. I love the products.
Of Grins,
yeah. And they're great. They have amazing product and I will never say anything negative about them. I just couldn't serve them anymore. And so if I start to lose that and I'm still charging them what I'm charging them, it makes no sense, and you have to have that little bit of honor to your name of being like, hey, listen, like if I can't promote and I can't perform for you, I got to dip. And that was it. At the end of the day, that was what it was, and so, yeah, if you're looking for great product, Transparent Labs, I mean, I'll give them a hit right now, definitely give them a shot. But at the end of the day, I couldn't help them anymore. And at that point, you got to back out.
Sure. Okay. Can we talk about influencer contracts?
Of course we can.
So how should you be thinking about it as a new influencer? Because you even said, all right, here's a scenario. You do 1,000, but the next one you want to do 10,000. Some of these brands that even reach out to me are saying, hey, we want to get you on a year-long agreement, 6 months, 2 year, whatever. And sometimes I'm hesitant because I'm like, well, what if I sign a year deal and my page blows up and now I'm at 50, 100K and you're getting the same rate as you would, like, I'm like, what? But how should brand and influencer be looking at contracts?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to think about. I think when you're first starting off, you shouldn't be fearful of that contract. I think the one thing that you should consider is once you sign with one, if you have a conflict of interest with working with other brands, that's when you have to kind of start looking at it and go, you have to kind of project a little bit and then you like roll the dice on it where it's like, hey, if I sign a year deal, do I think I might have another person that comes in that's, a like brand? So, let's say you're working with, Red Bull, for instance, and they're willing to sign you to a year deal at some rate, but, you think that at some point Monster might jump in there. And then if you're working with Red Bull, you can't do it. Is it worth it? And you have to weigh the positive and the negatives. And so,
oh gosh, I think this is good.
That's the thing that's when you have to sit back really and go, how big am I going to get? Because you never know, but how much effort am I going to put in this year? How much? And you can be honest with yourself. It's like, I'm going for these massive deals where I don't want to be locked in for a year.
I'm trying.
If that's the deal and it's like, you don't want that, then don't do it. If you're one of those people though, who's like, hey, I work a corporate job, I'm 9 to 5, but if somebody wants to sign me on for a year to do content every single month at $5,000 a month, I'm okay with that extra $5,000 a month. Like, who cares? Like, I'm doing my thing already.
Sounds great.
Like, that's awesome. That's extra money.
If a competitor comes in, I'm good.
I'm chilling, and especially if you truly love a brand. Like, it's like, if you're the guy, like, you're signing on with Coca-Cola and you love Coca-Cola and you could never, not that you could never, but you just don't enjoy Pepsi.
Sure.
Sign year deals with Coke. Like, no, because at the end of the day, you're going to be authentic to Coke. That's it. Like, it's the same thing with clothing brands. It's like with my contracts with Built, for instance, I know that I can't work with, the True Classics, the Cuts, all these guys. I'm okay with that because I would rather wear Built. Much rather.
You say this is a better choice of clothing.
It's a better choice of clothing. It fits my brand. It's more on me, because I've worked with all of the other ones. I've tried them on. I've literally worked with all of them. and I'll put all of them beside me, because this is the one that I've found that, first of all, the culture is amazing, because I always go for culture.
It's a build shirt?
It's a build shirt.
I thought that was like a Zara.
No,
it's
dude.
fresh.
Yeah, dude, this is built. This is a new rib collection. This is probably my favorite piece. Yeah,
it's nice.
Rib collection, Skyline pants. I mean, there is not a day that goes by that I don't have something built on. So it's like, it just makes sense. Are there still days where I dress outside of built? 100%.
Sure.
I'm not just going to be wearing built 24/7, but I love the brand enough to go, I'm willing to commit to you guys. Like, that's it. And if you show that commitment, and let's say you do sign a deal for a year, if you sign a deal for a year and you're actually performing and you're showing that you want to be a part of the brand and the culture is right, which, unfortunately, a lot of brands don't have the culture down. If you show that the culture is, or you show that you want to be a part of this culture and the culture is really a good culture, they're going to take care of you. They really are, because they want you to keep performing, and they love you as much as you love them, and so, like, I just got back from a trip in Irvine seeing Built, and it's like, I walked into that office and I felt like I was a part of the family.
Wow.
I just shooting crap with everybody. It's like everybody was like best friends, and it was the first time I met like half of the team. But it was like we were just hanging out like buddies. And you just feel like you're at home. It's like, why wouldn't I sign on for a deal for a year with that? Like, I don't care what comes my way. It's like, I really don't care, because I know at the end of the day, that's a company that I want to be a part of.
Dude, and this is translatable to software companies. I'm about to sign a deal with a software company for a 6-month, and I genuinely love their product. Like, I would just use their product all the time.
And even if they weren't paying you, would you still be using it?
Oh, yes, 100%. Even if they weren't paying me, I would still be using it today, always. And they had me at their office 2-3 weeks ago, before the partnership, just to, hey, we want to have you meet the team. Felt like I was part of the team. It felt like, wow, I'm a rep of this software company, but I'm not working here. But I will gladly tell anyone, oh, if you need this type of software, this is the company you should go to. Not because I'm getting paid, but because genuinely I think it's the best.
100%. And it's like, and you just said it. I think what hit me the most, like, that I knew I was part of like a really good culture, is I walked into that office and I was like, I could literally sit down at one of these desks and be happy. Like, if I wasn't doing my thing, and I wasn't creating, I was like, I could literally be in accounting and be happy.
At that team?
At that team. Like, whatever they needed. Like, it's like, what do you guys need from me? I want to help. Like, where are their issues? Let me help figure out the issues, and let me help solve the problem. No matter what it was. Like, it didn't matter. Like, I wanted, like, they were putting up, like, stuff. Because their corporation is huge. Like, and their company is getting just bigger and bigger. And
Really?
Oh, dude, like, their warehouse is, like, bigger than a Costco. It's gnarly, and everything comes out of there. So it's like, and it's nuts. And like, they're probably going to be expanding and getting bigger.
Dang.
But it's like, you go into there, and I was like, dude, like, how can I walk through the aisles and help bag stuff up and like box it? Like, how can I like get on the line? Like, you start thinking like that. You're like, and you also know you're a part of like a company like that when you're like, you're thinking of the things that are problems that you could help solve. So it's like, hey, I'm seeing this on the back end. Who do I voice this opinion to? Where you're like, this has nothing to do with me, but I think if we did this, it would be a little bit better. So you start thinking more of like, I am no longer a part that's getting hired. I am now a piece of this company. And once you have that and you feel like you can solve a problem or you can bring something to the table, it's like, dude, like, I really do not care what any other brand offered me. I'm sticking with them. It doesn't matter.
There's a ton of value in that, man.
But at the end of the day, money's money, dude. Like, how much money do you need? I think that's like,
I don't think there'll ever be enough for anyone.
And that's the thing also. It's like, well, I honestly think that you think that until you figure out, okay, what do I really want? And like, what makes me feel comfortable? And it's different for everybody. I think like the biggest question is like, well, how do you know when you have success? And it's like, well, you never want to be at the end, because I don't believe you should ever want a finish line.
Never.
But it's like, I really am the most happy just with the fact that I can go to Whole Foods and not look at the receipt after I buy stuff.
Me and my brother were just talking about this.
I am completely cool. I am so happy with the fact that I can go to restaurants with my friends and I can throw down my credit card and pay for the meal and leave and not have to worry about the bank statement. That's enough money for me.
Me too.
Like that is. And it's crazy, and then the cool part is once you have that thought and you have and you start living like that, more money just comes to you because you're just grateful and you're not looking for it. Because money's one of those things, if you try to strangle it, money's a lot like, I think I heard this, where would I hear this? But it's like, money's a lot like shit. If you crap in one place, it tends to stink. If you spread it out, it tends to fertilize the ground and things grow. So you have to move it. You can't just sit on it and you can't just expect to have a ton of money sitting in your back pocket at any moment. It's like, no, just like move it around and be able to work with it. And the more you do and the more good you do with their money, the more you make.
Which is a hard concept for a lot of people to think about.
100%.
And I think even in this world of content creation, it's money, 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 money. I mean, that's what people are like clamoring for, is they want more money.
It doesn't make you happy.
It doesn't make you happy.
It makes you, don't get me wrong, money's great and I love money and I always want to make more of it. But it's not, it allows you the freedom to do more. I think that's what people are looking for, is the freedom. And they attach that to money. And so when they say money, they're really meaning they want freedom and they want that safety net. That is a great place to be once you have money and you have a safety net. It's awesome because then it allows you to do so much more without having like that constant fear hanging over your head of, okay, well, what if I miss rent this month? What if I do this? What if I do that? At the end of the day, it comes back to freedom. If you're thinking about it and you're constantly like in that struggle of
don't be there.
Paycheck to paycheck. It's like, dude, like learn how to use money and learn how to like just mess with it. Like I loved watching your content the other day where you were talking about how you diversify your paycheck.
Thanks, bro.
It's huge.
I actually watched that video again.
Yeah.
And I looked at it with my my mom, and I said, Mom, I actually live off like 34% of my living. Like
100%.
So whatever my W-2 job is, I only live off 34% because I also put that into a huge savings account. Not a huge, but a savings account. I get a 4.5% interest back.
Sick.
Because it's an online savings account called CIT, and so it's like it's a high yield savings account.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I only live off like 32, 34%, but then all my influencer money, that's like mine. So like I just use that to pay for whatever I need to, like a dinner
100%.
or if I want to go to Whole Foods. That's a really powerful statement, just to be able to go to a grocery store. But I've had that for years. But I remember the times when I was $44,000 in debt, $7,000 of that was on credit cards. And I remember the immense stress of, this was when the economy was a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And I remember taking $20 into Aldi and having immense anxiety about, I only have $20 for this week. How am I going to get this? And I would genuinely, this is how I would go. This is at a time in the economy when everything was pretty cheap, but still I only had $20 for a week. A loaf of bread at Aldi was 60 cents.
Yep.
So I'd get 2 of those. I'd get a jar of peanut butter because that was $1.50. I'd get jelly, and then I would go get eggs when there was an oversupply of eggs during that time.
Yep.
So eggs were like 40, 50 cents a dozen.
Yep.
A bag of apples. If I was really feeling myself, I'd maybe get like some pork chops for like $5-6.
Yep.
But I would do that, and I'd live off $20 for a week. And I remember the stress of just seeming to never get out of that cycle. Like I lived that way for probably 3 years. It was when I was in college, but even when I was in college, I worked 45 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to get by. And because I had so much attention on money, it was almost in the cycle of I couldn't break out.
Yep.
But then it finally got to the point of, all right, I'm not living scarcity anymore. I'm living abundance. And slowly but surely the money just kept coming to me, and, praise God, because there's no other reason I can account it to besides him, because I don't, he could have kept me there if he wanted to, but he chose to put me in a different position. And I think just being grateful of where you're at, the Bible says, be content in all situations, count it all joy. And that's kind of where I think I've landed. And it sounds like you've landed, of just the simple things,
100%.
Friends and family, being able to pay for things and not really trip out about it.
No, because it also goes back to the Bible. It's like, asking it shall be given, seeking you shall find, knocking it shall be granted unto you. And God tells you, he's like, test me, ask. Ask about money. Ask, what do you want? Be very very cognizant of what you want and how much you want. Don't just be like throwing out. And I think Tony Robbins has a great quote about it. He's like, how much money do you want? And somebody goes, well, I want money. Okay, here's a penny. Go enjoy it. It's like I could give you whatever you want to. And God can do that for you. He will give you what you ask for in His divine timing.
Yeah.
But you have to be very, very cognizant of how much do you want, and also how much are you willing to, bet on yourself, and also understanding what comes with more money. And I made a post about it yesterday. It's like, I have so many friends right now, and I fell into it myself, where it's tax season. If you own your own business, you're paying your taxes, and you're paying a lot of them if you don't do quarterly. And so one thing that hit me like 2 weeks ago is I had a major tax bill. Like this year, I'm paying a ton in taxes. And I was like, damn, like I don't want to pay this money. Like that's so stupid. But then it's like God hit me like square in the face and he went, you asked for success. You asked me to give you a lot of money. What comes with a lot of money? A lot of taxes. So it is a blessing that you have to pay all these taxes because that means that I granted you your blessing. He gave me a ton of money. I asked for a ton of money. But what I didn't think about is if he gives me a ton of money, now I have to pay back the taxes. That's just part of it. That's part of success. That's part of earning. So when you have that thought, it's like, okay, now my prayer is, God, give me an abundance, give me an amount that I don't even care about the taxes at the end of the year. Because that means I'm just going to double down, make 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as much so that my taxes next year, I hope they're more. Because if they're more, it means I made more money. You know, and so it's looking at everything that you are blessed with. Everything you're blessed with, a lot of times it's going to have like a negative side to it. But you have to look at that and go, unless it had this negative side, I wouldn't be mentally aware that this is actually a blessing. So it's looking at the blessings and the negatives and understand they're both blessings.
It's all biblical. Like that's everything we're talking about is like, you know, God will give you success, but also test you at the same time.
100%.
Like, how are you going to respond to that? Oh, okay, he didn't do that. Okay, in which you don't do, but for you, you're not out at the clubs.
No.
But you're not saying, you know, I think I need a new Audi. I need a new Lamborghini.
I love my Kia.
Dude, I love that, bro. I drive an Acura paid, a 2015 used.
Yep.
And I'm sure both of us could get an upgrade easily. But it's that lifestyle creep that I talk about. I posted in one of my LinkedIn posts of like, you're only stressed out. Like, that's why I said, like, you said, how much money? I said, well, for some people, it's never enough because they make $250, but they spend like they make $300. Or, I mean, you make 50 and then you say you spend like you make 70. And you're always feeling like, well, I make this, now I have to upgrade here. Now I make this, I have to upgrade here. And you find yourself at the end of the month saying, where did all the money go?
Exactly.
And I think that's most people because they don't have that confidence and peace within themselves to say, I'm actually happy with what I have right
100%.
now.
And there's also a lot to be said though for, you know, the person who wants to show up in a way and they use their success and they use their money to make them more money. So it's like, I use it in like the world of real estate a lot of the times. It's like,
oh gosh,
I'm going to trust a real estate agent. Like, and it's sad to say, but it's like, I'm going to trust a real estate agent if they show up in something nicer than a Civic.
Dude, why is that so true in real estate specifically?
It's because if you look like you make more money, it looks like you're successful. It looks like you actually know what you're doing. You know, and so it's like if I'm going to trust a real estate agent, if a real estate agent pulls up in a Lamborghini and another one pulls up in a Civic, I'm going to look at the Lamborghini guy first. That's just, you know, that's how it works. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to say, and then if you come to me and you show me that you're actually worth something with that, that's the caveat here is if you're going to have those kind of things, make sure you're doubling down and make sure that what you're making off of interest on a deal, like especially in real estate, what you're making on a deal in real estate is paying for that car. You know, you're basically using your showmanship to pay for whatever it is you're showing, you know? So in marketing, that's really all it is. It's like, it's a show, but you're using your show to pay it off. So it's more of an investment than it is just, I'm driving a Lamborghini and I'm a kid who just lives at his parents' house, doesn't do anything, but he made some money and he just has a Lamborghini with a $4,000 a month car payment. That's it. And he's not using it for anything. That's where I think you get into trouble. If you're using it as a thing that, oh, that guy just went by. Oh, that's Kevin. That's him in his orange Lamborghini. Okay, but now you're associated with it. Okay, what does Kevin do? He's in real estate. So if I ever have a deal where I'm like, hey, or if I ever have something come across my desk where I'm like, you know, somebody needs some help with real estate. Oh, Kevin went by in his Lamborghini. Kevin does real estate. Maybe I can connect them to and see what happens. You know, so now there's an association piece. Now that part, if that person ends up selling their house with Kevin, he just made a piece of a commission because he's driving a Lamborghini.
It's an investment.
Exactly. So looking at things as investments rather than I just want to look cool or I want to have it for a brand, that's fine. It's the same reason that all the influencers drive Teslas. You know, it's like if you have a Tesla, you know, correlation. Oh, well, you know, he might actually be doing something well for his life. You know, it's the power of the correlation piece more than anything.
How about influencers investing in equipment and, you know, what we're doing here, the studio? at what point is that necessary?
It really depends on where you want to go with it. So for me, for instance, having a studio like this is awesome. It's amazing. I'd rather rent the space though, because if I just have a space, it's not going to get utilized to its full potential. I'm going to be blowing money on it because I'm not going to be using it that much. The other side of it though is if you're an influencer like myself who would be using it sparingly, if you want to own it, but then rent it out to people.
Sure.
So now you're making money and you're letting them pay for the rent and you're basically just getting free studio space. If that's the thing to do, that's the thing to do. A lot of influencers, though, it's like use what you've got. Start with what you've got. You know, if you have a phone, you can be an influencer. If you can talk, you can be an influencer. If you can, edit very generally on CapCut, you can be an influencer. It doesn't take a lot. And, the short form content world has proven that on like shorts and stuff like that on YouTube. Most of these people who are the most successful in like TikTok and all these things, most of these people who are the most successful, and your buddy who just left here was talking about it. Yeah, you shoot on your phone and you get so many more views and so much more engagement off of that video because it's authentic. When you're shooting it, when I'm doing my stuff, when I'm shooting ads and I'm shooting it professionally, I'm shooting it with the intent of it being an ad. It's not supposed to come across as, oh, he's just a normal guy sitting in his house. Like, it's like, no, it's an ad. I'm trying to get a point across.
You're trying to give a full like a high quality production value.
Exactly.
Almost as if you had a studio in Hollywood that you said that a brand would typically have to pay for or set up themselves, but you said, no, I'll do that work for you.
I got this. Exactly. And that's just understanding where you can provide value. Because once you can provide value in both assets, where it's like, I can do the professional stuff, I can also do the UGC stuff. Like there'll be like deals that come across my desk where I'll just get on my phone. My old assistant would send and say, hey, like it's a UGC deal. They're offering this much. Can you do it? And I'm like, tell me about the product. They'll tell me about the product and I'll shoot it while I'm driving. And then I send it back to her. I'm like, hey, edit this up for me. Send it back to them. Let's collect a paycheck. Literally from conception to brand deal to content to them.
Easy.
It's done by the time I get from my house to Fry's. It's just like if I can do it that quick and make $500, $600, like why not? And that's the kind of content that really works a lot of the time now because it's so authentic and it's just raw, and people believe in it and people trust.
Dude, there's like so much for just like me learning and also content creators who learn because this is how life gets. I see who you hang out with. You hang out with some influential guys.
Mm-hmm.
You are who you surround yourself with.
100%.
You're still kicking it with Gordon and all them, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Best friend.
Yeah. I mean, you're hanging out with A players in the space.
And it's cool because once you start hanging out with these kind of people, I think you should really surround yourself with A, the people that you want to be around, B, that are the successful people, because you should only want to be around the successful people, and always be the stupidest person in the room. Always have something that you can learn from somebody else. Like in your friend group, never be the guy that everybody looks at and goes, how do we do this? Like that's the biggest thing. And I think that that's where I've been so blessed is in content creation, I didn't know what to do with a camera. Like there's still things where I'm like, I don't understand this lighting setup. I don't understand this. And my best friend is one of the number one videographers, and like I would consider him the number one videographer in Arizona.
I'd say in Arizona for sure.
And so it's
he
like,
is.
and Lee Visuals, shout out. So if you need any content, you're in Arizona. Even if you have ecom products, Lee Visuals at Lee Visuals on Instagram, check them out. But like that, like being around a person like that, you're going to learn. And so I was so blessed during COVID when I was like, when like everything kind of fell apart and I had to give a bunch of my contracts back because we couldn't shoot anything. Gordon was like the first person to be like, yo, like, come on board. Like, I need a creative director. I need somebody to kind of like do all the thinking so I can just focus on shooting. And I learned so much in that year of being paid by Gordon to just learn, to just be on sets, to learn about video, to learn about lighting, to learn about how to talk to camera. And then what's cool about that is in that sense of when he was like, hey, I need a model to do this, or I need somebody to do it, I need an influencer, I need somebody to talk about a brand, I was there. So the first thing I was going to do is, dude, like, just put me in front of the camera. And so I just started building a track record of this is like what I do. And then I got good at it. I honed my skill. I learned how to talk on camera. I learned all of the little things that I use now, getting paid to do it by him and by the brand. It's like, you just have to take anytime you can take a chance on yourself to learn, take it. Just take it. Like you're going to learn something.
I mean, that's who I'm around. Like I only hang around content creators now. And sometimes it's like, oh, well, but like we all think kind of differently. And I think the smallest following of the group. One's 150K, another's 100, another one's like 25 or 30. And I'm like 17. And so it's it is one of those where it's like you are who you surround yourself with. But I didn't intentionally do that.
No.
But we all gain value from hanging out with each other. One person says you should try this, another person says you should try this, and it's all very helpful. And some of it works, some of it doesn't. But like they're just trying new ideas with you.
Yep.
And a couple of my friends are really good creators, and they're like, dude, should I go on my own? And I think this episode will be helpful for them to just hear you and hear all the opportunities you have. And there's real money to be made.
Dude, if you understood how much money you can make as a micro, and it's funny because you were like, yeah, I've got 17,000 followers, bro. I'm like, I think I'm at like 16. I'm less than you. Like, it's like
TikTok though is different.
TikTok's different, but I mean, I think TikTok's, I'm probably at like 42,000 on TikTok, but it's like, dude, like my reach isn't that big on TikTok. It's like
you're good. You've really mastered Instagram.
I've mastered Instagram and I've mastered YouTube Shorts as a small creator.
Oh, I saw, dude. That's what I'm talking about. I saw you were getting into YouTube, and I checked it. I said these are really well done.
Yeah.
And YouTube, are you at the point yet where you're getting paid by YouTube? Okay, because I know that's really nice.
It's nice, and it's like, but I mean, TikTok's where it's at if you really want to make a ton of money.
Really?
TikTok's really, you can make a lot of money on TikTok. You can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money on all the platforms. I think like TikTok is probably.
Well, like TikTok Shop?
TikTok Shop's a huge one.
Bro, someone said I should go live with a product for like 4 hours one day.
Just go live.
And just QVC it.
You could, dude. I mean, I've seen people do it and I've seen people go live for like an hour and make like 50K. Like if you have the right product and you're talking about it and you can just like bring value to it and you watch that number kind of like move around and you can hold at least 1,000 people in there for a couple hours, you're gonna make a lot of money. It's just it's stupid. That even like Amazon affiliates, like I've done Amazon affiliates now where it's like you go on and you just talk about a product that you use that you buy on Amazon because we all use Amazon. Might as well just talk about it. It's like I'll talk about a Fire Stick for 45 minutes and then walk away with a $5,000 paycheck.
Wow.
You know, so it's like it's not difficult. It's kind of weird to say that it's not difficult, but it just takes the
TikTok Shop.
Yeah, it just takes the I'm gonna do this. Like what? Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, what did you waste? 4 hours of your time? Okay.
You probably gained a decent amount of followers too.
You gained some followers, and then what's fun is figure out what you didn't do right. Figure out how to talk about a product a little bit differently. Try it again. There's no like, oh, you didn't succeed this time. We're not letting you do it again. It's like, no, like you could literally go live 6 times a day and just keep promoting the same product. And then out of one of those lives, you happen to have the algorithm hit you and you have 50,000 people watching you for 20 minutes. It's like, okay, you gave up 7 to 10 hours of your day, but you made 50K.
I don't know a corporate job where you can do that.
Like,
I don't know a corporate
just
job.
Saying, and then like, but then it's the whole piece of, well, I don't have time. I don't have this. I don't have that. It's like, bro, like you make the time. That's the whole money equation thing. If it's a money thing, if it's really a money thing that you're like, well, I just don't have time because I'm working a job and I need to make money doing this. It's like, okay, invest a little bit of time on the side, get good at something, and then learn how to make money doing that. And then once that money starts to succeed or like pass over what you're making at your corporate job, then you get to have that conversation with yourself and going, I could just do this. But just understand, once you become like an influencer or something like that, or whatever you want to call it, a content creator, it's a 24-hour job. That's just how it works. You know, when you're working, you're working.
Mm-hmm. Dude, this is all super valuable. Like, thank you for all your insights. And I think I learned a lot. I'm going to send this to all my content creator friends. I'm going to blast this on LinkedIn so marketers can see it themselves. And where can people find you?
Yeah.
So if someone's listening, I guarantee there's going to be people who are younger and they're saying, Scotty, I'm trying to create content. Because you know what's crazy, and this is, I don't know, let's go on a tangent here, but so a lot of people work these corporate jobs like me, but then they have these massive followings. Like I just got hired a girl at my company. Her name's Kendra. Nothing to do with software sales. All lifestyle content. Probably 30K on Instagram. Posts amazing content. So there's all these people who are in the corporate world but have these incredible followings. So they're probably thinking, all right, how do I monetize this? Like, how do I get a brand deal? How do I lock down all these things? And so where can people message you, connect with you? If they're a company, if they want to work with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, I mean, anything on social media, I'm at Scotty Sheller, Scotty Sheller. Not Scotty Scheffler, the golfer. I intend to get that
I
tag
saw
a lot.
that.
But yeah, anywhere on any social media, Scotty Sheller. My contact, if you want to email me, is contactsscheller@gmail.com. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to jump on the phone with you if you've got some time. Go back and forth with email, answer some questions for you. And then if you want to work with me, I mean, let's, set up a 15-minute conversation, see if we can do it. If I can coach you in any way, I mean, I'm coaching influencers constantly. Happy to do it. Just learn how to invest in yourself, and I promise you it'll return.
Cool. All right, guys. This is episode
13.
Thank you, Scotty. This
Gotcha.
is episode 13, guys, of the Sell That Saas Podcast. I really enjoyed this one. This podcast wouldn't exist without my following. So there'd be literally no one listening to me if I didn't have a TikTok following and a LinkedIn following. So this podcast is supported by you guys as the followers, and I couldn't do it without you and all of your engagement and support. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I really did learn about influencer marketing, and also you can connect with Scotty to see how you can take your brand to the next level. All right, everyone, take care.